Hi everyone, Emily here from Emily Reads, and today I have my October pile of possibilities. So the reason why I'm saying it's possibilities and not I will be reading these books is because first of all, there's 9 books. There's no way I'm going to get to 9 books. Second of all, I have become a pretty strong mood reader in September, and I have a feeling it's going to follow that theme in October. So it is back to school, and this has been a challenging start to the school year. I can't go into all the reasons why. It's just been a challenging start. It's just been a hard year. So professionally it's been hard. Personally, it's also been hard. It's the first year anniversary of a dear friend's death, and her birthday was also in September. So all around, it was a hard month. And so I had this nice, lovely TBR for September, for series September, and that just kind of fell apart. That's life. So at any rate, I have 9 books that I might read from. I've been kind of setting them aside. They fit a perfect October spooky Halloween theme. They're either thriller or dark academia fantasy. So let's just dive right in. I know for sure I'm going to read this book, and that would be Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. I've already read this book, so this will be a reread in preparation for Bloodmarked, which is coming out in November, and I've already pre-ordered that book. So this follows Bree Matthews. She is a high school student and who her mother has tragically passed away, and in an effort to kind of try to not deal with that fact, she agrees to join this advanced course of study where she can study at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And her first night there, she witnesses a boy killing a demon, and she gets swept up into a secret society that centers around Arthurian legend. And she also learns more about magic that's tied to her African roots. So I found it I really enjoyed this book. It was a good pace. I enjoyed the Arthurian legend aspects, and I also enjoyed the ties to her African roots and learning about racial issues in America. I thought it was a very good book. And I'm so looking forward to the next book in the series. The next book I want to read is Babel by R.F. Kuang. I'm not going to go too much into this book because it's all over BookTube, but I would like to read this because Sarah from Sarah Reads on her Discord, this is the book for a buddy read in October, so I'm hoping to participate in that. The next book I've already started thinking like, I probably won't like this book. I'll probably end up DNFing it. So let's just start it and see. I'm on page 69, excuse me, and that is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. And this involves an artist, Alicia. She murders her husband. She shoots him in the face several times, and then she tries to kill herself. And she has never spoken to anyone after her husband's body is found. She never says anything to anyone, and it's 6 years later, and Theo Faber is like a criminal psychotherapist. He takes a job at the institution where Alicia is, and his goal is to try to figure out why did Alicia kill her husband and kind of like have a breakthrough with her. It's a thriller. I've heard mixed reviews on it, so that's why I was like, well, if I don't like it, I can just quickly pass on. And my goal is to kind of bring down my physical TBR. On that same vein, I have The Maidens by the same author, and I've heard lots of bad things about this book. So we'll see. I know the reason why I'm going to read The Silent Patient first is that there is a character who crosses over from The Silent Patient to this book. I don't know which character that is, so I'll find out. But this centers around secret societies at Cambridge, where there is a therapist whose niece is killed, and she and her niece was part of this group called the Maidens, and the therapist is convinced that a professor at Cambridge is the murderer, so she is trying to solve that. Continuing on with our dark academia theme is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, and this is centers around secret societies at Yale. It follows, the main character is Galaxy, or Alex Stern, and Alex is the survivor of an unsolved multiple homicide. And so she goes to Yale to try to find answers, apparently. I've also heard mixed things about this book. I've heard either you love it or you hate it. And the second book is coming out early next year. So I'm hoping to read this soon. Maybe if I don't get to it in October, I might get to it over winter break then. Just because I want to see, do I want to pick up the next book? Then in a lighter vein is The Cat Who Talked to Ghosts by Lillian Jackson Brown. This is an older book. It's a cozy mystery from what I understand. These books were quite popular, and my library used book sale. There were several of them on a cart that you could take for free, so I just grabbed them. Hopefully I like it. But it centers around, the series centers around a reporter, Jim Quillerin, and the question is, are ghosts haunting the Goodwinter Farmhouse Museum? And his housekeeper, his former housekeeper, and the curator of the museum believes that ghosts really are haunting the museum. So I thought I would give it a try. I haven't read any of her books, so it's in the middle of the series. But usually, like, I feel like with cozy mysteries, you kind of can pick up in the middle because they kind of explain who the characters are, and it's cozy enough that they can be like the current mystery of the week. Fingers crossed. The next book, I actually soft DNF'd it. I started reading it shortly after it came out, and I just haven't finished it. And that would be Gallant by V. Schwab. And this follows Olivia. Yes, Olivia Pryor. She lives, I think, at like an orphanage, and she reads her mother's journal, and her mother's journal always says, like, don't, like, to stay away from Gallant, which is like the ancestral home. And then she gets a letter that invites her to that house. And so she goes there, despite her mother's warning in her mother's journal. And she goes there, and from what I understand, it's gothic horror. It's a shorter book. I did start it. It wasn't bad. I just put it down because other things were just calling my name, and I was attracted to other things. And I knew that, hey, this would be a great vibey book for October. Another book that would be great for October is The Hangman's Daughter by Oliver, I'm going to butcher his name, Oliver Potch. Believe it or not, I did listen to how to pronounce this name before coming on here, and I just completely blanked on it, so I apologize. So this is set in Germany, 1659, and a dying boy is pulled out of a river in a small town, and he's got this tattoo on his shoulder, and the hangman, Jacob, is called to figure out, is witchcraft responsible for this boy's death? And 70 years prior, their witchcraft trials kind of raced through the town, and women were burned at the stake in this small town. And then more children start disappearing, and an orphan boy is found dead, and he has this same tattoo on him. So he is trying to figure out what happened, and his daughter Magdalena, and Simon is the son of the town's physician. They work together to try to figure out what is going on. This was translated from the original German. Apparently it's the first in a series, and I was not aware of that. But I thought it'd be fun to read, again, for October, but also I kind of would like to start, I've been toying around with this, and I had planned it out in my journal. There's several people who are reading around the world. So the goal is to read a book from, and the book that represents each country from the 185 countries in the United Nations. So this, because it's by a German author, originally written in German, I thought would be a good book to represent for Germany. Then lastly, and it's a similar style book to Hangmans Daughter in that it's related to witchcraft and witch trials, but this is a nonfiction book, and that would be The Witches Salem 1692 by Stacy Schiff. And I've had this book for several years. I just have not read it. And she is a Pulitzer Prize winning author. She wrote Cleopatra, and she won the Pulitzer Prize for that. And this just takes a look at the Salem witchcraft trials. And I've always been fascinated with the Salem witchcraft trials. Something just drifted down off of my ceiling. I don't even know what that was. That was interesting. Sorry, so if you see some white dust mote, I apologize. So back to this. I've always been fascinated with the Salem witchcraft trials, like the psychology behind it, the politics behind it, the economics of it, because there was an economic factor in the Salem witchcraft trials, and of course the feminist issues that that spurred the just witchcraft trials, not just in Salem but throughout the world. This has been on my shelf for years. I've been meaning to read it for years. I've started it, I've stopped it, just because my brain just does not do well with nonfiction. I'm a fiction girl. But I need to be more I need to start being more disciplined about reading nonfiction. So I figured I could just read this slowly through the month. It might take me more than October to read. That's my pile of possibilities. I know for sure I'm going to read Legendborn. I know for sure I really want to read Babel. Beyond that, I don't know what I'll read, simply because, like I said, I'm a heavy mood reader. School year has been hard. I don't know if I'm going to want to do this to myself with a lot of dark, heavy, dark stuff. I don't know if mentally I can handle that. I'm going to have some lighter stuff mixed in there. That being said, if there's any book in here that I need to prioritize, please let me know in the comments below. And please also like and subscribe to this video, and happy reading.